side that you don't know. I can't wait to get you all alone. Once I'm in, there ain't no letting go. My mind games until you lose control.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What's up? What's going on, traders? Welcome back and happy hump day. Boy, oh boy, am I excited to be here. I am ready to rock and roll. I am ready to crush this market and have an amazing day, guys. And so far this week, it's been an amazing week. We've seen a lot of, thresholds broken. You guys are moving the needle. You're absolutely crushing it. Consistently profitable. We've been having a great week. It's just been a really, really good time this week. I don't know why. It's just been a great market, despite some of the initial choppiness out of the gate. I mean, there's opportunities left and right. You guys have been having some fun. You guys have been locking in amazing profits. Like I said, you're moving the needle. I love it. It fires me up every single day coming back to work with you guys and help you guys learn, earn, and to get just have fun while we do it. So today's going to be an awesome day. I smell opportunity in the market. And as always, guys, we're going to have some fun with it. And, yeah, we'll go ahead and dive into it. Sorry, guys. I'm a little distracted if you guys can't see. I'm trying to get both of these streams up and running. I was having a lot of technical issues the last, week with getting the pre-market rundown going on the tube. And so today it looks like we're good. But again, I'm just making sure we're all set. So I got like 3 feeds I'm looking at, trying to give you guys the intro, all that hype. So bear with me. Let's do a quick little audio check real quick before we officially dive into the pre-market rundown, guys, and just make sure that we are all set, ready to rock. So if you are inside a chat, let's do a quick little mic check real quick, and then good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Cole's up in the house, ready to rock. Stir, what's up, brother? Craig, good morning. April, Steve, William, Trader, Adam, Joey, Corey. Woo! My goodness. We got a lot of individuals up in chat early this morning, ready to rock and roll. I love it. Over on YouTube, quick little audio check. Tom saying audio is good. Yasmin, good morning. Andrew S. Drake, World, New York. What's up? Jason, what's up, guys? Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Tim saying good morning. Choked away 10% of my account in the last 3 months. You signed up to talk with Garrett Friday. Tim, we're looking forward to it. Garrett is an amazing guy. He's one of our coaches inside of the Market Mastery program. He's very experienced with NLP and neuroplasticity when it comes to mindset training. So, Garrett's amazing. He's going to be be able to answer all the questions you have and really make sure that the programs are a good fit. So super stoked that you have an opportunity to talk with Garrett on Friday. And we'll see if the program makes sense for you. And if it's a good fit, and if so, We'll get you onboarded, talk about next steps, and we'll start having some fun, man, and start helping you move the needle, regain some of those losses. But big thing is build structure, right? Build structure, be held accountable, understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, and just build a lot of confidence around yourself and around your trading to where we don't run into that issue again where we're losing 10% of our account, because that's a lot, right? So just really some structure, some guidance, and what does this journey look like for you? And so that's what you're going to be discussing on the call on Friday. Really looking forward to it and looking forward to the opportunity to work with you as well. So everybody again, good morning. Lucian, what's up? Tyler, good morning. Looks like audio's good on the YouTube. Let's officially dive into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again. We are going to start the pre-market rundown show. This is where I get you guys prepared for the day and give you my complete breakdown, my market overview, my analysis, primarily with the SPY and the Qs. As I know, 80% of traders, especially in our community, are primarily trading the SPY and the Qs. Occasionally, we'll find opportunities on large cap stocks, Alphabet, Microsoft, AMD, whatever the case is. And if I see opportunity for the day, I'm going to give you guys my game plans on those stocks. And not just my game plans, not just those alerts. I'm buying here, I'm selling here, but the education behind it as well. So not only are these streams super informative, but they're very educational as well. So you guys are learning and have the ability to apply what you're learning and start earning in the market. Again, with the overview, the analysis, my personal game plans as far as how I'm looking to come into the market, how I'm looking to maneuver in the market, and again, make money consistently. So that's what to expect, guys. We have about 50 minutes until market opens. 50 minutes to start jamming with you guys and get you guys prepared. So as always, we start with the economic calendar. What do we have going on today? Are there any times that we have to be mindful of, right? Do we have jolts at 10 o'clock to where the market can get rocked, say 5 points, right? Do we have anything that we have to be mindful of today to where maybe we need to, flatten a position, put a hard stop in the system, make sure we're mitigating our risk, and make sure that we're mindful of our risk. So starting with the economic calendar, what do we have going on for today? So we're actually pretty much in the clear. Not a whole lot going on. So here at 10 o'clock, we do have new home sales data. It's of medium importance, but that's not the type of data that typically really moves the market. Now, will you see a quick little price fluctuation or price reaction? I'm sure, but are you going to see like a 5-point drop or a 5-point pop like you see with CPI data, maybe PPI data, jolts, job openings? Probably not. It's not that type of data that really rocks the market, okay? But it's still some data of medium importance. Be mindful that at 10 a.m., you do have data dropping. But like I said, in my opinion, it's not the type of data that would cause me to flatten a position ahead of the data, right? Like jolts, that's definitely high importance data that dropped at 10 o'clock a couple of weeks back. I flattened my position right before data just in case the market went against me. And the market dropped 5 points in 5 minutes that day. So just imagine you guys were in calls because there was a great long setup. You didn't know we had 10 o'clock jolts data. And then you're in and you see the SPY drop 5 points in 5 minutes. Just imagine, how much of a loss you would have taken, not being mindful of that time, not having a stop in the system, not cutting that trade and flattening that position ahead of key economic data, right? This is why we start with the economic calendar. Make sure you guys understand at what points today do you have economic events? How important are they? Is it the type of data that can absolutely rock the market like jolts a couple of weeks back? So we always start with the economic calendar. Make sure you guys are super mindful of those times. Today, the only thing that you really have to worry about is 10 a.m., right? You have new home sales data and then new home sales data month over month. But again, that's not the type of data that'll send the market flying 5 points or down 10 points, okay? But be mindful, 10 o'clock, you got some data. And then you do have some key economic data. And basically, that's just Chair Powell speaking this afternoon after market close. So here at 4:35 Eastern, you do have Fed Chair Powell speaking today, but that's after market close. But still, that's a high important economic event that can absolutely move the market here in post-market. So again, if you guys trade futures contracts, that could be a catalyst that really starts bringing more volume and volatility into the markets here after 4 p.m. So he'll be speaking at 4:35 Eastern. Tomorrow, we'll discuss what we got going on, but we do have high important data dropping tomorrow. We got jobless claims, durable goods, and then the big boy, the final GDP growth rate for the previous quarter. Remember, you get 2 estimates and then a third final read. This is the third final read for GDP for the previous quarter. This is very important. Okay, this is definitely a big data heavy day tomorrow with continuing claims, jobless claims, durable goods tomorrow, initial jobless claims, wholesale inventories, retail inventories. You got your final GDP. Again, tomorrow's a data-heavy day. Pending home sales data, Fed Waller speaking at 9 o'clock. Just look at the calendar tomorrow. There's a lot going on. But today, we're pretty much in the clear. The only thing that we have to be mindful of is, again, new home sales data at 10 o'clock. So let's dive right into the technicals. That's what you guys are waiting for. Where's the TA, man? I don't care about the economic calendar. I'm good to go. I want your game plans. I want to know what your expectations are, Josh. Where are you looking to get in? Are you bullish, you biased, you neutral? I'm always neutral. But let's give you guys the breakdown right to the technicals, and I will show you guys a couple key areas that I'm going to be keeping on watch today and really just set some expectations as far as how I'm looking to move into the market. Again, what are my expectations? What's my outlook for today, guys? All right, so going right with the SPY, excuse me, guys, and then right into QQQ. So a couple key areas I want you guys to keep on watch. Okay, you have this lower zone of support between 420.17 and 420.78 here on the SPY. Okay, and if you guys are new to the session, new to the stream, all of my zones come right from the daily. So every zone I give you, these are key significant daily zones that I identify. Then I go right down into my 5-minute time frame and I really start narrowing down these zones. Okay, so the first zone that we have right from the daily, that's going to be support since we're above it. That's going to be 420.17 to 420.78 is going to be a key zone of support. Okay, you have key overhead resistance again right from the daily. This is the daily zone. So today we're going to have some key overhead resistance up between 424.44 and 424.85 here on the SPY, guys. Okay, now I'm going to go right back into the daily, because if we drop below that zone that we just discussed, you know, how much lower are we going to the downside? Well, there's a couple areas to the downside that I would expect to see us go. First area to the downside would simply be Monday's open. Right, we had that nice gap down open on Monday right around 419.60. So that would be like the first area to the downside we could definitely see the SPY get to if we crack this initial zone of support. Okay, then we could possibly see the SPY all the way back down at 417.81. So just giving you guys those lower levels of support just in case we see the SPY come down, crack that zone. If we fall below that zone of support and we see it turn into resistance, then we would have room to 419.60 and then 417.81 today on the SPY. That's if we fail to hold that key daily zone of support. And again, that zone is 420.17 to 420.78. And so right now, I'm a little 50-50 just because we're sitting right in the middle of support and resistance. Normally, I have like a line in the sand, like where the market's going to be opening. Most of the time, we're sitting at a key level, and we have what we call a line in the sand, right? If we hold a line in the sand, we crack it, right? It's our make or break for the day. Well, right now, we're sitting right in the middle of that key zone of support and that key zone of resistance. So I don't really have a line in the sand for, you know, an out-of-the-gate trade here on the SPY. Today's one of those days that I'm expecting to have to sit back and be really, really patient, right? And really let the market develop, really let the market come to me. And again, there may be 30 minutes to an hour at the start of the day of having no trades because we are quite a bit away from key support and key resistance. So out of the gate, I'm expecting to be, you know, pretty hands-off and just waiting for the market to come to me, whether that's up to resistance, whether that's down to support, and then really just go from there. Right? How is price developing at this lower zone of support? If we see price come down into that lower zone of support and we see great price development, that's an area where I want to get long off of and look to play some calls. Okay? But what if we open on up, come on down, and we don't have good price development? Let's say we start falling below that zone and then cannot break back above it. And then we see price developing well, which indicates a possible short. Well, if that's what we see at that point in time, and we fall below that zone and hold below that zone as resistance, then I'd be simply looking to play some puts back down into Monday's low of day. That's going to be 417.81. So that's a couple of ideas, couple of, potential plans if the SPY comes down into that zone. That's going to be a key area to keep on watch. If you stay above it and you start to see good price development and you start to push to the upside, I'm playing calls off that key zone of support. But if we come on into that zone, crack below it, and stay below it, okay, then I will then at that point in time be looking to play some puts down towards around 419.60, and then potentially, excuse me guys, all the way back down towards around 417.81 here on the SPY. But that may not happen. We may open and just start to rip to the upside. We may not come down into support. So what are a couple other game plans that I have here if we see the SPY open and start to push into that key zone of resistance? Well, I will wait for the market to come to me and see how price develops at that key zone of resistance. And if we see good price development and we have confirmation to play puts, I will be looking to play puts off that daily zone of resistance for the next leg down. Okay, that's where I'll be looking to play puts. However, it's always good to have an opposite plan in place just in case, right? Because what if we do come on up into that zone and actually break above it and hold above it, and we have price developing good at that zone, and we have indication and confirmation that, hey, the market's most likely going to push to the upside. Well, then at that point in time, we simply look to play calls if we get above that zone and hold that zone as intraday support. Where could we see the SPY get to if we do break that zone, hold that zone, and start to push higher? I see potential to get back up towards around 428.98 to 429.77 here on the SPY. And again, that's another daily zone of overhead resistance. Okay, and again, we're just going back and looking at all of that prior daily resistance back here in like June, where we topped out several times. Then we broke above it, saw it turn into support. Back here, tons of resistance. Back here, tons of support. And it's also right around your 20 EMA as well. So that would be the next area to the upside if we are able to break this initial zone of daily resistance. Okay, and again, that initial zone of resistance is 424.44 to 424.85 here on the SPY. All right. So you can see that if we break that zone, there's a lot of potential to the long side. We could see a nice explosive move on up today if we break that initial zone of resistance. But here's the thing that I notice on the daily that I really want to talk about is, what do you guys notice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of last week? Look at the drawdown. Look at that nice big sell-off. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of last week. Take a look at the volume. What's something that stands out to you on the SPY from that, leg down last week? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, big drop. What do you notice with the volume? What stands out to you? You got Steve inside of chat typing, so he's ready to answer the question. What do you guys notice? Big downside volume, weak buying volume, 100%. That's exactly what I noticed, and that's what stands out to me, is when we dropped on off, we dropped, right, on an increase in volume, right? Sellers were increasing, right? We were gaining strength to the downside. What do you notice about the last 2 days? We had a nice decent bounce from 418 back up towards around 425, a $7 bounce over the last 2 days. Pretty decent bounce. What do you notice about the volume? A decrease in volume. So that shows us that this is a potential weak bounce. So when we see a move to the downside, for example, and we're gaining strength to the downside, and then we start to bounce, but we see that bounce occurring on weaker volume or declining volume, that typically leads to what we call a two-legged or a three-legged pullback, especially if that retracement is at a key level of resistance. And this is what really stands out to me, okay? You see all of that prior daily support right here, and then how it turned into resistance, and it just so happens to be Monday's high a day. It just so happens to be yesterday's high a day. And then you take that zone and take it back. It was also the gap up open. So that's a key significant point, that gap up open. And then we see it was respected here one time, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 additional times. So not only do we have, the sell-off gaining strength to the downside, now we see a weak bounce, could be a 2 or 3-legged pullback. The key thing that I look for is, are we topping out at a key area of resistance to indicate, hey, this could be a 2-legged or a 3-legged pullback before seeing the next leg down. The main thing I'm looking for is, are we topping out at a key level of resistance? And I would have to say yes, right? Monday's high a day, yesterday's high a day, where we've been topping out the last 2 days, is at a key daily level of resistance. So that's starting to give me some confirmation, some clarity that this could very well be a 2 to 3-legged pullback. We don't break that zone, then we start to see the next leg down. Because again, we have increasing volume to the downside. We're gaining strength. A weak bounce back into some key daily resistance on less volume. This is where we could top on out before seeing the next leg down. What's something else that you can do as well to gauge, is this a proper retracement? And could we see that next leg down? What's something else that you can do along this swing high to this swing low? Well, you can go ahead and go grab a Fibonacci extension tool and go from swing high down to swing low, drag that back up to your swing high, and this will give you an idea of where we may see this retracement end up being before maybe getting that next leg down by utilizing that Fibonacci extension tool. So do we have any confluence? Not really, right? If that 61.8 was in line with where we were topping out, I would say, hey, we have some confluence with that Fibonacci extension because it's right at the same price, but it's actually just a little bit higher than where we're topping out this week. So I'm not sure if I would really utilize this extension, at least right now today at this point in time. But I am watching the SPY today back off that zone of resistance, because I know if the SPY pushes on up into that zone of resistance where we topped out Monday and we topped out Tuesday, and we see price topping out here again today with even less volume on the daily, that's starting to look really, really good to me for that 3-legged pullback, and we may start to see the next leg down coming into the end of the week. So just something I'm thinking. People always want to know, like, what's your outlook by Friday? I'm not predicting anything because you can't predict what's going to happen. But what's in front of me right now at this point in time? I see that potential, right? 2-legged pullback. Could be a 3-legged pullback. Everything's lining up. Everything's shaping up. We're just waiting for confirmation at the end of the day. And today could be the day that we get confirmation. If we see the SPY up into that daily zone, and if we are topping out and rolling on over again, that's an area that I want to be getting short off of for a day trade. And if we see great follow through and we're starting to see that daily setting on up, I want to get to a position to where I can actually hold some of this overnight for a swing trade into, say, Friday. So today I'm going to do a few different types of trades. I'll trade my main account, daily expirations, quick scalps, right? That's what works for me. But on my Roth, if we see this type of setup, if we get to that daily zone, if we top out, start rolling on over, I'm going to go next Friday expiration, right? And then the goal is to take that as a day trade, scale out, take profit, scale out, take profit, and then get to the point where I own a free position to where I can hold a swing trade overnight, maybe into Friday, who knows, maybe in the next week. But if that trade goes to zero, I've already secured a lot of profit on the day trade side. So that's the goal. Take profit, get paid, and then get to a point where I own a free position. And if I get to the point where I own a free position, I'm more than happy with taking that overnight into tomorrow, into Friday, maybe even the next week. Because I know even if that position were to go to zero, right, I can't lose because I've already been taking, say, 80% of my position profits during the day, to where if I hold it overnight and that trade goes to zero, I can't lose on the trade. I still walk away profitable. So that's going to be a goal. That's going to be a game plan and a trade idea that I have if we see the SPY get up to that zone and top on out. I know I want to take a potential short as a day trade, but also get positioned in my Roth for a potential day trade that could turn into a swing trade. That's only if we see the SPY bounce on up, weak volume, into that zone, good price action, good price development, and we have a reason to get short. That may not even happen, right? But if it does happen, you already know exactly why I'm looking to get short, what my analysis is, what my game plan is, how I'm looking to get positioned, day trade that can turn into a potential swing trade, and why I would even look to go into next Friday, why I would take profit, why do I want to get to a free position, and why do I think we have potential to the short side, and why do I want to hold something overnight, okay? So that's only if we get to that zone, top out, roll on over. That may not happen. We could come right on up, break that zone, hold that zone, and rip. Well, if that happens, well, that game plan is toast. We can go ahead and throw that in the trash. We'll look to play some calls up towards around 429, okay? We may not even come anywhere near this zone today. We may just dump on down, but we already know what to expect. We know exactly where we want to see the market come, right? We know where we have support at, what we could see take place. We know where we have resistance, what we could see take place. We just have to sit back, be patient, and wait for the market to come to us, okay? So you have my game plan as far as day trades go. Possible puts, possible long, depending on what we do at this overhead zone of resistance. And same thing at this lower zone of support. We come down into it, good price development. We're looking to play calls today, okay? We come down into that zone, bad price development. And if we start to fall out of this zone, I will simply look to play puts today. We have room down to 419.60 and then potentially 417.81. So wanted to spend a little bit more time with the SPY guys, right? Because the SPY, could move big today. We have a nice daily setup. There could be a swing trade. We have a couple key areas that we have to really break down. And I wanted to make sure that you guys fully understand my analysis, my outlook, and really my game plans for the day. How I'm looking to come into the market, how I'm looking to get involved, and how I'm looking to make money. So before we dive into the Qs, do we have any questions regarding the SPY, the analysis, the outlook, the game plan, right? Possible calls, puts, swing trade. Do we have any questions whatsoever regarding the SPY before we move on to QQQ? Alphabet's definitely going to be on watch for me today. So here in a moment, we will talk about Alphabet, Microsoft, AMD, and a possible swing trade here on Starbucks. Steve, you grabbed that BTAI trade. Did it actually play out? Oh, wow. It actually played out for you, boss. Yeah, that took forever, man. It took forever, but it came down to that 310. Never was a higher low break of the downtrend, but still came down to 310. Held that support level on up, and then boom, right into target. So you made $888 on BTAI. Well done, man. Way to get it. Again, I wasn't liking how we were moving, so I never took it myself, but I'm glad that you saw that that post. I'm glad that BTAI caught your attention, and I'm really happy you took that trade, and you're already up $888 on the day. Well done, man. Well done. So does that make sense, guys? Does that make sense? Lady A, so April's asking, swing trade with the news coming? So again, I really want to stress, only a swing trade if I get to a free position. So for example, right, here's a breakdown on what I mean, getting to a free position. So let's say, for example, I grab 10 put contracts because I have intraday confirmation to get short. And let's say that the SPY dumps, okay? And I take 8 of my 10 contracts for profit, okay? That means I have 2 contracts left. Now, what are those contracts worth at that point in time? If those contracts go to 0, will I still be profitable being that I've already sold 8 of my 10 contracts? If the answer is yes, that means I have 2 contracts that I own for free. So the example is if I get 10 put contracts and I take 8 of those for profit, how much did I make? How much are those 2 contracts still worth, or what's my cost basis? How much could I give back? What would that loss be? And is that loss less than what I've already made by selling 8 of the 10 contracts? That would mean I can have 2 contracts that I own for free. If those 2 contracts that I held went to 0, I still make money on the trade because I've already taken 80% of my position. So would I swing 2 free contracts overnight? Yes. Why? Because they're free. I can't lose on the position. I've already secured my investment back. I've made money, and now I can hold 2 contracts, for example, for free overnight. So would I take my entire 10 contracts overnight with all this news? Heck no, right? That is way too risky. I am not taking a trade and swinging overnight with all this news. Absolutely not. But if I get to the point where I own a free position, right, and I can take 2 contracts, those could go to 0, but I'm still making money on the trade by taking most of my profit here intraday, then yeah, I would absolutely consider holding 2 of those contracts overnight, maybe in the next week. Not even worried about them going to 0 because I'm still making money on the trade if that were to take place. So that's the only reason why I would even consider a swing trade in the first place. Does that make sense? But just to grab 10 contracts, never take profit, and then hold that entire position overnight? Absolutely not, right? Absolutely not. Not going to happen, right? Way too much risk with all this news. All right. So, questions with the SPY? Anybody? Are we all set? All right, cool. So let's dive into the cues. I also like the cues today as well. So a couple things I want you guys to keep on watch. I'm going to give you guys these daily zones and then run through my options watch list for today. So daily zone of supports. Okay, this may be your line in the sand for the cues today. And honestly, it is the line in the sand for the cues today. So here is your lits, your line in the sand. This zone between 355.68 and 355.96. That is a key area of support. That is going to be the make or break today for the cues. Okay? If we crack below that zone, how much lower can we go? Well, there's going to be a lot of pit stops along the way down, but the main area that I'm seeing is right back off all of these daily lows, right around 353.30. Then, if we crack below that 353.30, definitely coming back down into Monday's low of day, and we have a slight zone here between 351.16 and 351.39. So, if we see QQQ come on down into that zone, our line in the sand, and we see good price development, and we're holding on up, I will look to play calls today. Where to? Daily overhead resistance between 359.12 and 359.95, as well as this multi-week downtrend here on the cues. So you can see that we will have a lot of resistance up at that daily zone that we just discussed, 359.12 to 359.95, but it's also going to be that multi-week downtrend. That is going to be a great area to take profit if we have reason to grab calls in the first place off that daily zone of support, okay? So that's game plan number 1. QQQ comes on down into that daily zone. Good price development. We're holding. We get confirmation to get long. We play calls. Where to? That multi-week downtrend and that daily zone of resistance. That's where we get out of those calls if we're in those calls. And that's when we start thinking about, hey, is there a reason to take puts? We're off that multi-week downtrend at a daily zone of resistance. Is price developing well? Are we still respecting the downtrend? Are we getting confirmation to play puts? If so, we could look to play puts at that point in time. So a couple of different trade plans here, right? Really comes down to what is the Qs, what is QQQ going to do here at this lower daily zone of support? And we always want to have an opposite plan in place just in case. So what if we come down to that zone and we fall below it, right? Come back into it and we're like, yep, that's resistance. There's sellers present. That's a crack and retest. We have confirmation we're going lower. Like, what if that's the case? Okay, well, we simply look to play puts at that point in time. This is why we don't come in with bias. We're not bullish. We're not bearish. We're neutral. If we come to that zone and hold that zone and have a reason to get long, let's get long. If we come to that zone and crack that zone, come back into it and stay below it as intraday resistance, and we have multiple reasons to get short, hey, let's get short. I don't care if the market wants to rip 10 points or dump 10 points. I just want to make sure that I'm on the right side of the trade so I can capitalize on that move. So that's what we would have in place today if we fall below that daily zone of support, and if we see it turn into intraday resistance, From there, I'm looking to play some puts. Where to? 353.30, and then all the way back down to that lower zone between 351.16 and 351.39 here on QQQ. All right, so there's a couple of plans, a couple of ideas, things that we could see take place, right? How the market can move from zone to zone, different types of opportunities that could present themselves. And depending on what presents itself, we know exactly how we want to look to trade the market and get involved with the market today. But there's one last plan that I haven't discussed, and that's if we never come down to support. Let's say we open and just start to push on up. Well, I will simply wait for the Qs to get up into that daily zone of resistance as well as that multi-week downtrend. And if we have a reason to get short there, again, there's a lot of stuff that we have to take into consideration during the day, right? Just because I give you these plans doesn't mean just because we come up into this area, I'm automatically getting short, but I start to analyze at that point in time, right? Order flow. Is that a weekly hedge pressure level, right? Do we have, sellers present, right? Great price action. Are we sitting off the VWAP, right? Are there multiple reasons to take that trade at that point in time, right? That's something that we do during the day, intraday with students in the community, right? So again, always make sure that if you guys are on YouTube or TikTok, that just because we come up to a key area, and I'm saying, hey, if we stay below it, I'm playing puts, that doesn't automatically mean that if we get there, it's going to give me confirmation for puts. There's a lot of extra steps that have to take place in order to even take this trade in the first place, okay? But if we do come up into that multi-week downtrend, if we do come up into that daily zone of resistance, and let's say we do have intraday reason to get short, and we have multiple separate reasons, that's where I'm looking to play puts back down to that lower zone of support. But to the flip side, what if we see a strong move today? What if the market wants to break that multi-week downtrend? What if we come back into that zone and price develops well and it turns into support? Well, obviously we're not taking puts because the market clearly is giving us indication it wants to move higher. So from there, we would simply look to play calls into our next area of daily resistance. That's going to be up here between 361.61 and 362.07. Okay, so a couple of different ways that we could see QQQ set up today. Okay, and again, I just got to wait for the market to come to me. That's it. I don't know if it's going to come down to support, and I don't know what's going to happen at support. I have to wait for something to happen, right? And then all I have to do is react at that point in time if there's a high probable outcome of me actually winning on this trade, whether that's calls, whether it's puts. Again, we have no idea how the market's going to move and develop at that lower zone. If we get confirmation for calls, we play calls. If we get confirmation for puts, we play puts. But here's the deal. We know that there's something bound to happen at these zones. We know that price is most likely, with 80 to 90% certainty, going to have some kind of price reaction, some kind of opportunity present itself at these zones. We don't know what the opportunity is, but we know that if we get into one of these zones, high watch, get focused, right? There's an 80 to 90% chance that there's some kind of setup, some kind of opportunity to get involved with. So all I have to do is wait for the market to come to one of these zones and wait for that opportunity to present itself and then simply trade accordingly and just make sure that I'm on the right side of the trade. So that's going to be the analysis and the game plan here with QQQ. All of our key zones of daily support resistance. We have that multi-week downtrend that we definitely need to be keeping on watch today. And now it's really just a game of patience. Where is QQQ going to go? Into support and then bounce? Into resistance and then drop? What's going to happen? We don't know yet. But when we see that take place, when the market opens, guys, we will attack it inside of chat, won't we? Any questions regarding QQQ? Before we move on to a couple stocks that I have on my options watch list for today. Do we have any questions? And just so you guys know, on TikTok, we go live every single morning from 8:30 to 9:30 on our YouTube channel. So come join us if you guys want to see the charts, the examples, the breakdowns. It's Alpha Day Trading over on YouTube, or go click the link in my bio here on TikTok, and there's a direct link that'll put you right to the live stream. So if you're like, why am I just looking at this dude's face? Well, I do have a really good-looking face. Wouldn't you guys all agree? I'm a pretty handsome man here. right? So I understand if you guys just want to look at me, but if you guys want to look at me and see the charts and get the visual representations of what we're talking about, then go ahead and join us on YouTube, and this is where you guys want to be every single morning. Steve, where does that trend line start on the Qs? We're going all the way back into this high from Thursday, October 12th. We see it here connecting. I know it invalidated it here a little bit, but we did come back below it. I know we invalidated it here a little bit, but we came back down below it, and then we stayed below it, right? Come here. We stayed below it. So I understand that some traders may see this trend line and be like, but Josh, right? We technically broke it here. Okay, you're right. If we saw that break and then it became unrespected, then I wouldn't be using that trend line. But when we saw that break, we instantaneously respected it again, right? Came back up, respected it again, okay? Came back up, respected it again. So what does that tell me? That tells me that this is a valid trend line and that this was just a false break of the trend line. There's your 2 points from October 12th. There's a lot of points here from October 16th. Yes, we broke it here. And if we notice it's no longer being valid, we would not be talking about that trend line. But it came back through and validated it, and validated it multiple times thereafter. That's why I'm still putting some significance and some weight on that trend line despite that false little breakout, because we have multiple touch points that are validating this trend line. Does that make sense, guys? And not only do we have this downtrend, but it just so happens to be, right, daily resistance. So surprisingly enough, there's a daily zone of resistance just where that trend line happens to be, and that trend line has been validated multiple times. Like, would I be looking for a put or to short the market just off the trend line? No. But now that's being paired with a significant daily level of resistance, most definitely. I think there's great potential here. All right. So, any questions regarding the Qs, guys? Yay or nay? Nay or yay? Hey, yay, nay. Make sure you guys are all set. How you guys doing over on the YouTube right now? How you guys feeling? You guys enjoying the session so far? You guys grabbing some value from the session? Let me know by giving me a thumbs up on the stream, right? Maybe giving me a comment, you know. Let me know how you guys are doing right now. Make sure everything is good to go here. All right, let's dive into Google. All right, so a couple things with Google, okay? You got a lot of daily support down here between 127 and 128.16, right? A lot of great support down here between 127 and 128.16. So if we see Alphabet come on down into that zone of support, and just go ahead and disregard this zone right here. You're probably like, well, you got a couple zones here, man. I see all these little lines, and just disregard for a second. I'll explain, right? 127 up to that 128.16 key daily support. Just so happens to be the top of a daily gap. So you see this little blue line right here? That's the top end of a daily gap. Just so you guys are aware. You see this lower blue line? That's the bottom of a daily gap. If we came down today, that would be a daily gap fill, okay? Just so you understand what those two lines are and what all this is here right in the middle. That's just a daily gap that could get filled today, all right? But we're not starting there yet. What we're doing is we're starting right here at this daily zone of support, okay? If we come on into this zone of support and we have good price development, we may not get an entry for a daily gap fill. This is an area that we could hold on up and see a nice push higher. If that's what we see, we play calls. It's that simple. We come on down into that daily zone, hold on up, good price developments, okay? We're looking to play calls. Where to? I would just go ahead and target a lot of this pre-market support and a lot of this pre-market resistance. Those would be like some first targets, just some of these pre-market levels. But my main level comes right from the daily. My main area of overhead resistance is up between 133.93 to 134.59 here on Google, okay? So that's what we could see take place if we come on down into this lower zone and hold on up. Well, if we get confirmation for calls, we do have potential all the way up into the 134s, okay? But what if we come on down and we don't hold that zone and we start to fall below 127? Well, that would put us officially inside of this daily gap fill. All this, that's a big open pocket where we had a gap up on the daily, right? Big open pocket from that gap up on the daily that we have yet to fill. We know that when we get inside of these gap fill areas, price likes to move quickly to fill the gap, okay? So if we fall below 127 and stay below 127, at that point in time, I'll be looking to play put contracts to come on down and fill that daily gap. So if we see confirmation to play puts for a daily gap fill, I will look to play puts. When I get out of my puts at 123.69, because that's going to be the daily gap fill support, that's the lower area of that daily gap fill, 123.69, that's where I close my position to the short side if we get the short, because we have closed the gap. What can we then do? If we grab puts for the daily gap fill and we fill the gap and we sell our puts for profit, what could we be looking to do right at that point in time if we close that gap? What kind of strategy could we see play on out, guys? YouTube links are in the bio if you guys want to come join the session, or just go to Alpha Day Trading over on YouTube and join our live stream. If we see that rejection, we get inside of the daily gap zone, and we have confirmation to play puts, we're going to take profit at 123.69. That's a daily gap fill. We could see a daily gap fill bounce, right? We could look to play calls off that move. We could grab puts, reverse our position, play calls right back up to 127. We see that take place all the time. We come inside of the daily gap zone, we grab puts, comes all the way down, closes the gap, we get out of the puts, we jump calls, and it comes right back up to the starting point where we actually had the gap up low. So we can bang this a couple of different ways. That's why I love gaps. We can grab the short for the fill, grab the long for the gap fill bounce. I love trading gaps. Super easy. And we see them play out all the time. So that's going to be a couple of things that we can see take place today. Okay, a couple of game plans, right? To the long side, to the possible short side, possible long side for the gap fill bounce. There's a couple of things that we could see take place. We got 3 game plans if we see Alphabet move lower. But what if we see Alphabet open and start to push on up? Well, I would just simply wait for Alphabet to come up into this daily zone of resistance between 133.93 and 134.59 here on Alphabet. Okay? And then just depends on how price develops up here at that daily zone of resistance. If we have confirmation to play puts, that's an area where I start looking to enter to the short side. Okay? However, you always got to have that opposite plan in place just in case. You don't want to be bullish or bearish. You want to be neutral. Because what if we do come up into that zone and we push above it? What if we then see that daily zone of resistance turning into support? Well, screw the puts, right? We don't want puts. We want to be looking to play calls if that's what we see take place at that point in time. Where could we see this go back up to? You know, honestly, guys, I wouldn't even play those calls personally. Like, I wouldn't play calls for a break and hold just because I feel like we would be very limited to the upside. But at least let's go ahead and give you guys an idea of what we could see if that takes place. There's a lot of resistance right here, and I know that. Right here, there's just going to be a good deal of resistance to where I feel like we're just pretty limited to the upside. So it's like, what's the point? What if we come up and break and hold that zone? It's like, what? Maybe grab $1 to the upside? I'm not interested. We just going to have a lot of overhead resistance. The only time I play calls is if we come down to that lower zone of support, hold on up, because then I know we have all this potential to move. So, you know, we have a potential. We come up to that zone, break it, hold it. You would think, okay, well, we would play calls, and so be it. You want to play calls, play calls. If we want to grab this for $1 to the upside, if that's what we see, grab it for $1 to the upside. I would personally, just for me, I would pass on that opportunity altogether just because I don't see, you know, substantial, you know, low risk, high reward. The other plans, right, 100%. Closing the gap, gap fill bounce, exceptional trades, great risk reward. Coming into that lower zone of support and holding, great risk to reward. Coming into this overhead zone of resistance and playing puts, great risk to reward. The only plan that I wouldn't personally execute myself is if we break and hold that zone. If that's what we see take place, technically you want to be playing calls, but I'm passing on that trade altogether. Okay, just to give you guys some transparency there. I wouldn't place that trade personally. All right, moving on to Microsoft. Microsoft, I don't really feel like trading it today, to be honest with you. I just want to kind of watch it. But for those of you that are going to be watching this, a couple of areas that you guys need to have on watch. All right, so key resistance, guys, right from the daily, 351.38 to 351.92. Key daily resistance, right? Look at all of that daily resistance. That's a key level, okay? Key level. And then you're going to have some key daily support. That's going to be down here between 335.61 and 336.82 here on Microsoft. And you can see that it was a lot of resistance, right? Turn support, a lot of resistance, a lot of resistance. So that's going to be a key area of support here today on Microsoft. Now I want to grab one more overhead level. And the reason I want to grab one more overhead level is like, what if we come up and break this overhead daily zone of resistance? Like, could we move higher? Yeah, we can move a lot higher. We had potential up to around 358 to 359 here on Microsoft, okay? So, a couple game plans. If we come up into this key area of daily resistance and we top on out and fail to break above it, I would be interested in playing some puts on down to 336, right? That's just where we would be able to see this thing go, okay? But if we see, buyers just really overpower the sellers today, I mean, we are going to be gapping up, 15 points? If we see some continuation off earnings and we continue to move higher and we ever break that daily area of resistance and we see it turning into intraday support right around that 351.60 region, well, I would play calls up towards around 358 to 359 if that's what we see take place. But you guys need to understand that that's going to be a key area of resistance. That's a make or break. If we fail to break it, we have potential to fade and fall. If we come up and we do break it and hold above it, well, then we have great potential to move on up a little bit higher, okay? That's a line in the sand. That's a key make or break area here for Microsoft. Not just today, but even coming into tomorrow and Friday and next week. It's a key area to keep on watch. That zone, again, is between 351.38 and 351.92. Right, and key support right now is down between 335.61 to 336.82 here on Microsoft, guys. All right, but like I said, I'm a little 50-50 with it. I think there's good potential here on Alphabet. I'm really digging kind of what we're doing and the opportunity that we see. And then obviously I'm digging the SPY. I think there's great opportunity and potential today with the SPY and with the Qs as well. So it's like I have the SPY on watch. I'm fully prepared, super confident. I have QQQ on watch as always, right? Prepared, really confident, see great potential today, right? Take a look at Alphabet. Prepared, confident, see good potential today. It's like I got 3 stocks that I'm confident with, that I see potential with today. I don't really need to have anything else on my watch list. I got 3 great opportunities, 3 great stocks. Why distract myself with 5 subpar opportunities, right? And have my head on the swivel. Let me just stay focused on these 3 plays. So, SPY, Qs, Google, giving you guys the game plan on Microsoft. But again, I'm not too crazy about it, right? I'm going to put my focus on the SPY, the Qs, and Alphabet, guys. The only other thing that I want to talk about real quick is AMD, right? Just really quick. If we come up and break 101.67 to 101.80, if we ever see that break and hold, I'm playing calls to 103. I love the daily setup. I love what we're seeing on the daily. Last time we came down to the 200 SMA, nice bounce. We just saw 2 days back-to-back off the 200 SMA. We could see a nice bounce. All I'm looking for is a continuation play. We've already come down. We've already had 2 days back-to-back of bouncing off the 200 SMA. All I'm looking to see if AMD can do is break some of this daily resistance right here and then move up into its next area of daily resistance for a quick little scalp, quick little, maybe $2 continuation play today. All right, so if AMD can come up, break and hold that zone, then I would look to play some calls up towards around 103. So about $1.50. of upside potential today, guys. Okay? And that's the only thing is AMD, but that's a little bit of a back burner because honestly, there's not I don't see any like high probability reason or anything that suggests this is going to happen at this point in time. That's why it's a back burner. But if we ever see that take place, I would be interested in grabbing calls on AMD, guys. Okay? So that's a little bit of a back burner play for me today. But other than that, at the start of the day, all of our focus is here on the SPY, the Qs, and then Alphabets as well. Right, so we are all set, ready to rock and roll. If you guys are not in the Zoom, come on, guys. What are you doing? Y'all sleeping. Usually the guys are sitting here in the waiting room. So we got about 4 minutes until the market opens, guys. Do we have any questions right now at this point in time before we dive into our morning session? That's the cool thing, man, is we don't have a Discord. I developed my own piece of software. It's a live trading education piece of software. So think of it like a Discord, but we say Discord on steroids, right? So I built my own piece of software. I built my own application. And yes, that's where you get the live group trainings, the live streams, the scanners, the courses, the training videos, the community, the chat rooms. You get everything. We don't do it through a Discord. I do it through my own piece of software that I developed. Okay, so if you want to learn more about what is the software, where do you host your community, what does it entail, what's the program look like, what's the coaching look like, the courses, right? Click the link in my bio here on TikTok, go down to where it says Market Mastery, and then go ahead and learn more about the Market Mastery program, right? Just go watch the video, do the next steps. You can jump on a call with me or one of my coaches, explore more, see the platform and how it interacts firsthand. And you guys will be all set, ready to rock and roll. So right before market open, you do have a quick little $2 drop there on Google. Stir, what's up, man? Good morning. Good morning, man. How you doing today? You said you're blessed and pumped up? Oh, yeah. I'm blessed too, man. 100%, dude. I like that. Starting off the day with I'm just blessed to be alive today. I love it, man. Lee, Mr. L.A., what's up, brother? How you doing today, man? Yeah, I believe they missed something cloud related and something like regarding their guidance, but Mr. Liquidity, what's up, brother? I'm digging that username, by the way. Mr. Liquidity. Yeah, so the private Zoom trainings are for everybody that's inside of the Market Mastery coaching program, guys. I see your mic moving, but I don't hear you. Lee. I hear you, Anthony. What's up, dude? Good morning. How you feeling today, man? Woo! You got that morning routine done? You feeling pretty dialed in? Yeah, I did too. I woke up at like 4:30 and I'm like, I don't want to be awake this early, but let's start rocking the day. So it's a good morning, man. I got some stuff caught up on. But yeah, today's going to be a good day, man. I'm feeling good, mentally focused, super dialed in, just ready to have a good day with you guys. So let's make it happen, man. All right, market is open. Again, we know exactly what we're looking at here. SPY, we know exactly where we can see the SPY go before looking to get involved. QQQ, we know exactly those two main zones where we want to see the Qs get to before getting involved. And then we're going to be watching Alphabet here. And the reason why we're going to be watching Alphabet is because look at the SPY. We got a lot of work to do before we get to one of our zones, right? QQQ. There's a little bit of work to do before we get to one of these key zones that we want to be looking for a possible opportunity. But take a look at Alphabet. Out of the gate, coming on down into a lot of this daily support. So we may have an opportunity here on Alphabet prior to even seeing anything here on the SPY or, the Qs. So I'll be watching Goog, G-O-O-G. If you guys are on YouTube, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the pre-market rundown session. You guys found a lot of value here, and you guys got some education as well. So Enjoy the rest of your day. If you guys want to learn more about working with us, you guys can click that link in the description or the link in my bio. Would love to jump on a call with you. Would love to help you guys out. But until next time, happy, safe trading. I'll catch you guys back here tomorrow morning, right around 8:30 on the tube. But now with you guys here for the next 2-3 hours, let's rock and roll.